Now it is plain out in the open. US President Donald Trump has started targeting India, but instead of getting hit by it, it is actually turning into a blessing in disguise. First, let's rewind a bit.
We all know that Trump has forced twofold duties on India. 25% as a corresponding duty and another 25% as a punishment for obtaining Russian oil. But the curiously thing is that was not a punishment. He called it sanctions. And fair recently, the White House representative said it transparently. We have forced sanctions since India is buying as well much oil from Russia. Sometime recently, the Ukraine war, India utilized to purchase as it were 1% of Russian unrefined. Nowadays, that number is 42%. Presently, here's the bend. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is additionally transparently talking approximately this. By the way, this fellow is the same fellow who has worked for George Soros, contributed with him. Essentially, Bessent is Soros' fellow, and he says India is taking Russian rough, refining it and offering it. That's called profiteering, agreeing to him. Profiteering. Truly. So in case you purchase crude fabric, turn it into a wrapped-up item and offer it, that's profiteering in joined-together states lexicon. At that point, what almost America's claim amusement? For decades, U.S. companies moved their production lines to China, utilized cheap labor, cheap crude fabric, and made benefits since of tall dollar esteem. Isn't that called profiteering? At that point, blowing up European cheap Russian gas pipelines. I'm talking almost Nord Stream 1 and 2. At that point, turning around to offer European Union nations costly American gas. In 2025, U.S. LG sends out to Europe has come to record highs. Isn't that artful? And after that, see at these European pioneers. In spite of knowing all these things, they are sitting and tuning into their ace. All are included. It's clearly obvious. At any rate, presently here's where the story flips. Russia bounced in and stood immovably with India. Moscow authoritatively said these additional duties and so-called punishments are preposterous. And in political dialect, when somebody says outlandish or nonsensical, it really implies we condemn what you're doing. And Russia didn't halt there. They declared a 5% markdown on the rough for India. So whereas Trump is attempting to rebuff us, India is getting cheaper oil. In reality, Indian refineries have as of now booked additional Russian rough for September and October. Since in eminent, China got an enormous chunk. That 5% markdown implies generally $3 less per barrel at today's cost. Prior, such bargains were made in quiet refinery to refinery. Presently, Russia has made it a government-level commitment. It's right on the confront of the joined-together states. On best of that, Russia said 90% of the installments are presently happening in rupees and rubles, and since India is buying so much oil, Russia needs to utilize those rupees for bringing in Indian produce.